We've made it to Saltmarsh. Well, some of us have. Hello and welcome to the Battle and Barrow and another Mystara campaign, a waffle session. We are going to Saltmarsh today. You might be wondering, isn't Saltmarsh in Greyhawk? And indeed it is, but I am sort of transposing it from there for use in my campaign because I need to get them to a sort of fishing village town type place, and Saltmarsh seems ideal. And it does say in the 5th edition book that it has different location suggestions, even though it's sort of default is Greyhawk. Talks about moving it, and I kind of like having it in the border of Karamikos and the 5 Shires. In Saltmarsh, the book, you have 3 sort of different factions. We have the Traditionalists, which are going to be the Traladarian sort of natives, if you like, the original people of Karamikos. You have the Loyalists. These are going to be the new Karamikos Guard. And I should point out, even though it's set in the Black Eagle Barony, the guards aren't necessarily evil. They sometimes get a bit confused by the laws they have to follow and carry out, but on the whole, they're generally good people. We have the 3rd faction, which is a criminal faction. So in this, it will be the underbelly of the Iron Ring, which won't come into play too much. Saying that, it kind of does with smugglers and stuff going on, but we'll see as we go along. So yes, unfortunately one of our players couldn't make it. Walker Ranger could not make it, so how I handled that is they were travelling last week. We left them travelling back to the island to pick up their ship, and so they still don't trust the Irendi, so Walker has opted to stay behind on the island just to keep it safe. They figure it's quite a simple mission, this. It shouldn't be too deadly, so they go off. So it's Anir Rofel, and hopefully I've pronounced that right, because I think I've been pronouncing that character's name wrong. Anir Rofel and Gelfenwith, both elves, go off on their boat with the rum, which they need to smuggle in due to the 100 years Festival of Remembrance, which is about to take place soon, and due to a mine opening up and the Black Eagle Baron deciding that he wants to concentrate all these resources on that to get him richer, that no money must be spent on anything, that the town only allowed to spend to use what's already in the town for the 100-year celebration of remembrance. So because of that, the players have been tasked with smuggling some rumming, which they'll say has always been in town. They've got to go and meet Gellan Primewater, who is the instigator of this operation. They are sort of told a bit of information by the Captain Hawk as they're travelling back to their island. They're sort of known about the background, about the different factions and the sort of 100 years Festival of Remembrance, which was to do with about 100 years ago the town fell on bad times and a plague, and the town councillors managed to pull together their resources to save the town and sort of get the medication they need, and so they're revered as heroes. And so there's going to be a festival soon, where there's statues of them statues of them going to be revealed, and it's all going to be good times. But they just want to make the celebration that's a bit of background. They're told that Gellan Primewater has a mansion right on the docks, so when they get there, they'll head past the island with standing stones, head into sort of the mouth of the river, and they'll see his mansion there on the docks. And that is precisely what they do. Before they go, Mr. Tibbs of the Dandy, the flower Dandy Flower ship, offers to go with them. He's going to be our NPC for the day to make up for a lost player, which is fine. He's not going to be too high powered or anything. He's just going to be I've got stats for like a pirate stuff thing, so he's going to be a pirate stat block that I'm using. Nothing too major, but just in case they need a bit of extra help. So they set sail to Saltmarsh. There are no random events for this. It's quite a plain sailing, as it were, and they make good time and arrive. The first thing they notice when they arrive is the docks themselves, how busy they are. There's only one dock that will be suitable for them to land at, to dock at. The others are all full with stuff being loaded, unloaded, and as one ship leaves, another one comes. But this dock remains empty. It's right out underneath this big mansion, which they deduce is Gellum Primewater's mansion, so that where they need to go. The other thing they notice is the abundance of guards patrolling the docks, making sure that nothing that shouldn't arrives, and nothing that shouldn't leaves. Even from here, they can tell the guards aren't nasty, they're not roughhousing anyone, they're just doing their job, just making sure nothing. They're doing a sort of an inspection of the ship, making sure all's above board. Nerophil has a special ring, if you remember, that allows him to, once per day for 8 hours, take on a different form. So he slips it on and he becomes a Gendry Guilford with golden flowing hair and a long moustache, who is very dapper and a bit of a pompous idiot, and we decided he is Rick Mel from Blackadder II. Lord Flashheart is how he comes across, and with that he takes on this whole persona, and Mr. Tibbs becomes his manservant. This is how we're going to infiltrate the docks, as it were, so Mr. Gibbs is his downtrodden Mr. Tibbs is his downtrodden manservant, who goes along with this just because he's a smuggler. He knows how it goes. Smuggler privateer, I apologise. So as soon as they enter, the guards ask for papers. This puts the players a bit on the back foot, but they come up with a plan. Mr. Tibbs has them, and Gendry is all like, "Mr. Tibbs, the papers please," and there's a sleight of hand as he gets the papers and hands them to the guards. It's quite fun how he's how this NPC is treated as a manservant. We really roll with that. And the guard accepts the papers. They've put a sort of a minor illusion on the ship's hull to make sure the door's not there. So the guard looks, and the size of the boat is not really used for cargo. So with the door gone, they board the dock. As they go up, Gendry holds his hand out to the guard as to hold him up. He is playing a sort of noble person. And the guard's a bit taken aback, but takes the hand up and helps him up on the on board to the dock. They see Gellum Primewater occasionally leaning out, shouting orders to his men about loading up, or listening to his men sort of shout something back to him. And they enter Gellon and talk business, Gellon's house, and they talk business. Begin with, they sort of shout up and get his attention, and they're trying to be really subtle about Gellon doesn't know who they are. He just knows he's expecting a delivery of rum soon, but he doesn't know who it's going to be. And so they're trying to talk, and they're trying not to give too much away, and the guards are sort of listening at one point intently, to which Gendry sort of looks at them as only a noble can, and the guard ignores them, and Gellon quickly catches on who they are and ushers them into his house. They can talk privately. Now, inside the house, they're talking about how they're going to get the rum in. Gendry's looking out the window trying to get the guards' patrol pattern sort of down to a pat, but it's decided that Gellon sort of says, "Don't worry about that. I have underneath my house there are a series of tunnels that go enter from a cave that he uses from time to time for such occasions as this, and the players can use those tunnels." He warns them there are many secret doors that he has, and when you get to the end, there will be a secret door that you will need a key for. It will be locked. So he hands them the key, says that will take you to another door that will be locked from the inside. That is the entrance to his cellar. Teaches them a secret knock. It's very musical, so Gendry being a multi-classed elf and bard, elf, multi-class thief, a rogue and a bard, level 1 in bard, recognises that as a musical knock, and it's from a song that he recognises. But Gellern also warns them that just of late he believes some other smuggling operation has been used in the caves and the tunnels, even though they're not aware of the secret door to his cellar. So warns them beforehand there might be some trouble, and they can deal with it as they see fit. He says the cave entrance is if they travel eastwards to along the caves, they go past Crabber's Cove. They'll come to a entrance to a cave and the entrance itself is underneath a what is known locally as the Haunted House. This is setting up sinister secrets of Saltmarsh. If I ever wish to run it, I've got the house there, and the fact that there is sort of caves nearby, ready to run that. I agreed to go the next night. That night, it's early on in the day. In the meantime, they decide to do a bit of shopping and meet up with Gellern in the Snapping Line Inn later on before they set off. So go down, there's a market next door on the map to where Gellern lives, and they want to buy a few supplies. They manage to find a stall who sells potions and little trinkets. There they get a potion of healing and a potion of hill giant strength. Now these are rolled at random. These aren't anything that was planned by them. It's not just a case they were asking for them. These are just potions that were there by random. I need to point this out for the future. They also find a few other bits and pieces. There's nothing really else worth it there. But Gendry, or Anirafel, is after a homunculus, which is cool. Everyone else has got some sort of pet, familiar thing in the party, so why not? She says she doesn't think she's into sort of magical objects, minor magical objects. She says the stallholder is called Betsy, and she says she doesn't have one, but she can put the feelers out. There is a new player in town who a wizard called Jasper has just arrived. You might be able to get one from them. This pips the players' interest, so they go off to visit him. He's here in town trying to set up a new apothecary shop like he did in Threshold, and also set up a new rubbish dump as he did in Threshold using black puddings. He's pleased to meet him. He says he can leave it with him. He might be able to get one for them. So they go into the Snapping Line. Now here I am also setting up next week's Halloween, next week's or in a few weeks' time Halloween game. So hence the Festival of Remembrance is important to that, and the knowledge that it was the town founders that saved the town when it was in going down. So that's all very important. So they go into the Snapping Line, and here I set up another bit for that. And I thought I'd done it quite subtly, but obviously not that subtle. The Snapping Line is a pub that is tavern that's made up from bits and pieces of shipwrecks. So it has a very nautical feel, and it smells of the sea. And so I kind of introduced something here. They look at ship plaques, and I made a note of different ships. That top of my head I haven't written down in my notes, so I can't remember what they are. But I have a ship name random chart generator, so I rolled on that and got some ship names, and it's something like the Salty Mermaid and the Black Revenge, and I also rolled for this, even though this is predetermined, the Dear Lisbeth. And I don't know if I said it wrong. I tried to say it as naturally as possible, but this ship is important for the Halloween game, and that's the one where both Galfenwith and Anirafel got their notepad out and started writing down Dear Lisbeth. And I don't know why. I thought I said it quite naturally, or not trying to give anything away. If anything, I think the Black Revenge or something like that was the one I gave more emphasis for. It was like the Salty Mermaid, the Black Revenge, and the Elizabeth. Kind of, I thought it'd be that one they write down, but no, they got it, and that threw me a bit. So they have drinks, meet Gellon, and set off. They set off on their boat. They get to the... They travel along, and as they travel along, just before they get to the haunted house, they see a series of flashing lights seemingly coming from just round the corner of the cove, as it were. And in the distance, there seems to be a ship quite a way out, and it seems to answer with some flashing. That is also setting up the sinister secret of Saltmarsh. That is a smuggling operation. They're talking to each other on the beach, from the ship to the caves around the back. But it also ties into this one, because as they enter the cave, they see on the shore some rowboats, meaning there are smugglers or someone already in this cave system. With that, they swim to shore, because their boat can only get so far, and they let most of the remaining rowboats go free except for one, which they then take back to shore, load up the rum and take it back to shore. So they've effectively now have one boat full of rum. They tie a series of ropes they find around to make a sort of thing to pull the boat. So that is what they're going to use to transport the rum. Again, I had no idea how they were going to do this. I just gave them the problem of they have 4 bottles of rum, and they need to transfer a few thousand yards back to Gellon Primewater's house. How they were going to do it, I had no idea. That was down to the players, and this is what they did. They got Tibbs to down the Hill Giant potion, and now they've got an hour of him being able to just drag this barrel-laden boat through the tunnels. And so with that, they have prevented any smugglers from being able to escape as well that they encounter, because the only boat that's remaining, the only rowboat that's remaining, is the one they're using to drag the rum. They proceed through the tunnel. They come across a side entrance, and there is some chests. They check for traps, but they don't find any, but that's because the roll was low. One of them was in fact trapped. 4 poison darts come out and pierce a Nerophol, giving him a bit of a poison for 10 minutes condition and a bit of damage. All the while this is going on, when I was exploring, a Nerophol is setting traps of his own, just in different places where they're not exploring. They know they've got to travel north and then west. So again, I had all these different side passages. They are ignoring them. They know. The beautiful thing about this is they've given themselves their own time limit, so there's no messing around, because they've only got an hour's worth of potion strength, the Hill Giant strength due to the potion. That was great for me, because it gave them focus rather than wandering off. We are focusing on the mission. Sometimes you can get a bit sidetracked, players can, I've noticed. So this was brilliant, and this is a learning lesson for me. Give them a time limit, a natural time limit, and they did it themselves, which is brilliant. So we managed to go through this cave system. We encounter some smugglers. We also sneak past some smugglers as well. There's a big group of them that are sleeping. They kill one, this sort of gnome smuggler, who I think was the owner of the chests. He sort of catches them as they're looking through the chests, and we ignore side passages where the rest of the smugglers are. We get to a passage where there is another group of smugglers, but they're dead, and they're sort of scratching at a wall as if they're trying to find something. This must be one of the secret doors they deduce, and these smugglers knew about it, but they've had an argument with another group, I guess, because they've been stabbed in the back as well. They do find this secret door, and in sort of chalk, Gendry writes, "The tempest rises above it." He's trying to set up his own legend about himself. Perfect. This is backstories in the making here. Don't write a backstory, make your backstory in gameplay. Love it. We get to a less of a cavern, more of a set of tunnels, more chiseled, more man-made. I can tell they're man-made. There are wooden columns holding up the ceiling, and in some places the ceiling is sagging dangerously. We get here to the west. There was a whole sort of undead zombie encounter, and it was going to smell rotten, and a series of loads of traps. Worth it. There would have been stuff there, but we're on the time limit, remember. We are about halfway through now. We're about half hour into this due to combats and searching and what have you. So we're just off. We're off. We're not going down east. We're heading west. And so this actually does become a low combat game because of this. But I'm happy with this. We still had fun. There was in-game lore being developed, which I absolutely love. All the while, there are more traps being set, and he sets one with ball bearings, which is I wish Walker was here for this one, because throughout this campaign he's had these ball bearings which he's been trying to find a use for, and there was this ingenious trap set with ball bearings against a door handle and what have you. It was brilliant. We make it through here, and we find a door which has been locked. They think it's the one that they're looking for. So try the key. That doesn't work, so they break it down. It's been seemingly locked on the inside, which at that time they think it's the one they have to knock on, but it's not. It's just another door where there is another smuggler who sort of must have made it through the secret door where the others got stabbed and got to here. He'd been attacked seemingly after they sort of give him an inspection and sort of using their medicine skill, as it were. They deduced that he's been attacked by some undead creature, most likely a zombie, due to slap marks and bite marks on him, and he died of infection. He is horribly bloated though, and they try to and they notice he's holding a note, so they're trying to look at him and inspect him without touching him, and they're trying to get the note without touching him, but unfortunately they fail at this, and his body does explode in a pile of horrendous gore and bleh. His name is Penkus, and he is, I think I took this from Savage Worlds Dungeon 139, sort of inspired by this, but he's holding a note, and it names that he got, the note mentions that he got betrayed by his friend who's called Ned. I haven't mentioned the surname, and if you know Saltmarsh, you probably know who Ned is and who it's sort of alluding to. But it talks about how he got betrayed and cursed him and tasked the players, or whoever reads this note, of avenging him and killing Ned. Behind him there is a locked door, and it's a locked door, and it's the one with the key that they need. So they unlock it and enter a small chamber, and there is another door, or a series of stairs leading up to another door, and that's the one where they knock. They make it through. It's answered by the Gallen servants, and they make it through just in time as the potion wears off and Mr. Tibbs' strength returns to normal. And everyone's happy. We have rum for the Festival of Remembrance, which is tomorrow. The 21st of Cold Even is the date the festival is going to go on, and it's the 20th of Cold Even now. They have a bit of time left before they go to sleep, and this is where I start the Halloween adventure I want to run, but I won't tell you now, because what they saw before they went to bed, I'll leave that for Halloween episode, so it's all in one. Or do I tell you now? Yeah, no, I'll wait until next week. I'll open up next waffle session with the end of this waffle share session. But that was it. There was a very low combat thing. There was a few things I haven't mentioned where there was some crabs that they had to fight. There was some combat, but this was the sort of main crux of the actual story, the narrative. I really had fun with this one. It was more roleplay, a lot more roleplay in this one than normally used to, well, I'm used to, but it was really great fun. And this one was mainly lots of lore dumps, really lots of lore dumps. One other thing I probably haven't mentioned is the town council that saved the town are pretty much the relatives of which pretty much hold the same jobs. They're all still council members of Gellon Prime Water, and I think the name's Edda, and things like that are still on the council. Their descendants were the ones that saved the town, as well as the town's cleric. He is a descendant of the Saviours, and I'm hoping people now, maybe by the boat name and that bit of the story, know what story I'm basing the Halloween game on, but we're going to have to wait for that. So until next time, thank you for watching, stay safe and take care.